Chelly National Monument is a hidden gem in Arizona. Let me show you the way. Chelly National Monument is in northeast Arizona on the land of the Navajo Reservation. It encompasses 84,000 acres and had nearly 355,000 visitors in 2022. This canyon is different from the other canyons. The bottom of the canyon is relatively flat, unlike the other canyons in the national parks. The walls of the canyon is more vertical than others, which creates a very different look. The canyon starts out near the town of Chelly. It then splits into three canyons. Chelly is the southern branch, with Monument Canyon that branches off of Chelly. Canyon del Muerto is the northern branch. The mouth of the canyon near Chelly is only 30 feet high, but it deepens to over 1,000 feet further into the canyon. Chelly has a rich history. The National Monument was established in 1931 to preserve the ruins of the indigenous tribes that lived in the area, reflecting one of the longest continuously inhabited landscapes in North America, dating back 5,000 years. Small mobile groups of people called the Archaic lived in the seasonal camps as far as 2500 BC. From 200 BC to 750 AD, people known as the Basket Maker started farms in the canyon. The Pueblo people came in from 750 to 1300 and lived in villages built into the sandstone cliffs. The Puebloans left the canyon around 1300 during a prolonged drought. They moved to villages along the Little Colorado River and eventually became Hopi. They used the canyon for seasonal farming and ritual pilgrimages. Around 1700, the Navajos entered Chelly. Around the end of the 1700s, warfare broke out between the Navajos, other tribes, and the Spanish colonists. In 1864, the Navajos were pushed out of the canyon, with most Navajos captured or killed. The survivors were forced on a long walk over 300 miles to Fort Sumner, New Mexico. Many died during the journey. The Navajos returned in 1868 and started trading posts in the area. About 40 families of the Navajo people live in the park boundary today. There are three major activities at Chelly. The first activity is to drive the 34-mile North Rim Drive and the 37-mile South Rim Drive and stop at the viewpoints along the way. The second activity is to hike the 2.5-mile White House Trail that leads to a 1,000-year-old ancestral ruin of the Puebloans. It is the only way to access the canyon without a guide. However, this trail was closed in the fall of 2022. The third activity is to hire a guide and explore the canyon floor. A Navajo certified guide is required to enter the canyon. We arrived at Chelly on a cold, rainy, and windy October morning. After stopping at the visitor center, doing our park business, and get advice from the ranger, we drove along the North Rim Drive. The ranger told us lighting is better in the morning for the North Rim Drive and better in the afternoon for the South Rim Drive. So we took her advice even though it was a cloudy and rainy day. Our first stop of the day is the Antelope House Overlook. As we come to the overlook, Antelope House Overlook. Wow, look at that valley. Ah, that is a pretty sight right there. This canyon was different. It had a flat green bottom that is wider in proportion to its height than any other canyon I've seen. Even though it was cold, we soldiered on to our next stop, the Mummy Cave Ruin. which was one of the largest ancestral Puebloan villages in the canyon, occupied until about 1300. The third stop was the awful-sounding Massacre Cave, where in 1805, 115 Navajos were killed when they took shelter on the ledge, but they were killed by the Spanish soldiers firing from the rim. That was just one example of the terrible and violent history the Navajos had in the area in the 1800s. After a cold morning, we went back to the town of Chelly for lunch before taking the South Rim Drive. We drove all the way to the end, with the 800-foot tall Spider Rock as our first stop. By now, the wind had down a little bit, and the temperature was still cold, and it was still flurrying, but it was no longer bone-chilling. Spider Rock rose from the canyon floor as a standalone spire. The rock and the area around it were beautiful and majestic. This is the best view in the park. Along the way back, we stopped at Face Rock, Sliding House, Junction, Sei, and Tunnel Overlooks. Each had a different view, with some overlooking a side canyon that branched off of the main canyon. We were able to see the houses and the settlements on the canyon floor, and the dwellings built into the side of the canyon. The sun even came out as the afternoon went on. At the end of our tour, it was actually sunny and warm. Canyon de Chelly was a wonderful place to spend most of the day. We were disappointed, however, that we could not hike the White House Trail down to the ruin. Although we wanted to enter the canyon floor with a Navajo guide, but it was too cold and we didn't really have enough time. After seeing the canyon from above, I really wanted to return to experience it from below. Rich in history and a totally different kind of canyon, Canyon de Chelly is a hidden gem that is well worth spending the day. We are on our way to visit all the national parks in the United States. Follow along by hitting the subscribe button below. Hit the notification bell so you know when a new video is released. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video, and please share it with everybody that you know.